It's April 24th, 2023. I'm inside United States of America with a Federal Reserve note, an ONE, and an In God We Trust. The flag is behind me. Jackson and the White House. Now, in the local Queens area, I made a video a few weeks back of just the milk from this area. Again, it does not smell like milk from a creamery, um, but it's what's bought in the store. And on top of it, it had this weird, like shiny, almost like a pearlized finished on the top, which for me at laboratory level, just a gross visual analysis. It looked like there was some kind of foreign chemistry in the milk. When I heat it in the microwave, it smells a little bit like burnt plastic. I made a notation of that. There's two different samples of milk that we've purchased in the local area that we brought into the house that smelled like the burnt plastic and had this look to it. When I skim the top of it, um, again, and I'm having physiological biochemistry changes, which um, I've gone to the local doctors in network with the insurance, um, and the laboratory tests are not coming back with any answers as to why I'm getting sick, but I've noticed in the milk. So today, they made a announcement on the ABC News, two different times on Channel 7. One at 12 and then one at 4. They're two different reports. One actually shows a brand of milk, which is one of the ones that I purchased and came into the house. One mentions FDA, the other one doesn't. And at the same time, somewhere else in New York City, they are protesting on Columbia University. There's something with this mosque. They have this big banner, which I just realized when I saw the television that it has something to do with Muslim American Society, which I had never heard of. And they're upset with the Jewish population on Columbia campus. There's like this big uprising or like big debate. There's tents. There's all sorts of stuff. Um, and in my real physical time, I've been on at the local supermarket working on register. Um, with some of the products on surveillance camera as to what's going on in my electric fence time, like what signals are coming in, because it looks like a whole lot of not us in the us, um, in like a 26 letter language system of speaking and communicating. So I'm just going to put this up, and then um, one of the stories, I think the one at 4, mentions bird flu is how they're speaking on it, just for cognition. But they're talking about virus now. What happens is in the section I'm in, VI, Roman numeral is 6. There's something calling himself a senator in this area that doesn't look like Biden or McConnell or Romney's like level senator. He looks like a foreign alien who is now residing around here. But his last name is Liu. And in Chinese, they sent me to one small, like they counted from 1 to 10. And I realized LIU is the number 6 in the 26 letter crypt of alphabet. So I'm like, and then RUS in Latin is country, but it's also, I thought field is how translate was translating it, but now Google's translating it as something different. They had something on the television the other night, um, showing the G. There was a little boy on an Apple iPad. His Google, for some reason, only reflects 3 colors. I've have access to a Google that has 4 colors on the G, so I don't know what that has to do with in the grand schematics of things. But when it comes to quality of food, and if the food's being tampered with, um, again, it's signaling with the word virus, and bird flu, which again, I went to the NCC class on like basic medical microbiology, but they're calling it here bird flu.
Alert now, concern growing about the bird flu in the U.S. after fragments of the virus were found in some milk samples. The FDA insists the nation's milk supply is safe to drink. It's pasteurized. That means milk is heated to a specific temperature for a set period of time to kill harmful bacteria. Bird flu was detected in dairy cows in Ohio, suggesting the outbreak is bigger than previous thought. Officials say the infected animals were taken off the production line.
As of right now, this does not pose any threat for the individual, meaning fragments of a virus, if it's found in your milk, can actually cause disease. I would recommend that anyone who is using milk on a daily basis uses pasteurized milk.
Bird flu has been found in cattle in at least 8 states, from Idaho to North Carolina. In Texas,
And again, that's the brand that they're mentioning.
This is believed to be only the second human case ever in the U.S.
Amazon is now offering Prime members
and here's what it looked like at 4 o'clock.
Bird flu cases have been detected in cattle in at least 8 states, from Idaho to North Carolina. In Texas, a farm worker was infected, believed to be only the second human case ever in the U.S.
Well, joining us now to talk much more about this is ABC News medical correspondent, Dr. Darian Sutton. Thank you so much for coming to talk about this. This story gives you pause.
It does.
So let's talk about it, and specifically, what are these fragments, and how does it differ from live virus?
So big picture here, overall, the relative risk to the general population is still low. So what did they find? They found fragments of this virus, and they used PCR testing. And the reason why I can say that is because we've all understood by now what PCR tests do. We've experienced the pandemic, and we all also know that PCR tests, even after an infection has been treated, can still remain positive. And that idea of those fragments are what turn that PCR test positive. And we're talking about any type of virus. So in these samples, they found fragments of this virus that unfortunately seems to be just raging among cattle, poultry, and other wild birds within the United States.
Before we get to this, I mentioned that only the second farm worker, or second person infected this human case in the U.S. It doesn't apparently happen a lot. But I guess the question is, what kind of a threat is it if you do get it?
You know, the threat in general, the cases that we've seen have been mild. We're talking about things like conjunctivitis, mild flu-like symptoms. Thankfully, we have not seen any severe harm secondary to the H5N1 virus or the avian influenza. I think in general, those who are the most at risk are farm workers, those who are directly in contact with these infected animals, and that's where I think we need to put the most care and effort in preventing infection. But thankfully, we haven't seen any sign of human-to-human infection or contagiousness. But overall, the rules remain. Avoid drinking raw milk, not just in this case, but in general. And also making sure that you're just simply paying attention to your risk and your state that you're in.
So let me ask you this then, because raw milk, they make cheese out of raw milk too. So should people be, and I think that's probably more common for people to eat? So should people be avoiding that?
That's a great question. There haven't been any signs. In general, the risk is still extremely low. We haven't seen any signs of this type of virus going from the animal to the process of creating cheese and to the actual human getting infected. So thankfully, we haven't seen that. So I wouldn't take any concern when I'm eating cheese. I would really just focus on, again, raw milk and also cooked eggs. You shouldn't see any sign of virus in those types of things. But again, we have to continue to test, and they're continuing to monitor the situation.
Thank goodness for pasteurization.
Thank goodness. The science and pasteurization makes a difference.
Wins
Again. It protects us. Who would have knew?
It does.
Well, I think we're a good class to talk about it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate it. Well, next in Eyewitness News.
Now it says right on there pasteurized milk. Nothing says anything about raw milk in the local stores, but that's where I've noticed just a difference in the milk or the quality of the milk. Now I'm going to pause this for a second, and I'm going to put on what's going on at Columbia University at the same time. All right, now one of the other stations, this one happens to be Newsmax, and they have this, and again, in Spanish, más means more, más. There's a big song on the radio about it. So Speaker Mike Lawler is speaking about this. Virginia Fox is over here. And just before this, on one of the other stations, they were putting on that, they made a big thing about Obama having been an alumni here. At least they have a photo of him. Again, I don't know how to verify any of this information, but that's what the news is putting out at the same time that all of this is going on.
Their thoughts here. I want to say this as well. At the start of the American Revolution, the doors of this institution, once known as King's College, were closed. When the war ended, the institution reopened and was renamed Columbia College. It was a shift from the tyranny of the monarchy to the freedom at the heart of the American experiment. And now the forces of hatred and oppression once again are on the march. They've begun to try to...
But it looks almost like World War III from just being hit from corporate level, from city management level, from multiple attempts of governing level. I mean, it is just such a broad level of attacks. From my local area in Queens, when I walk out on the streets, when my son goes to public school, when, like, I mean, even at the college level, it's just, and it's been growing. I mean, I didn't realize the level of it when I was born in 1978, but it's just, as I'm looking at it now,
close Columbia's doors to a segment of students. To every Jewish student listening to us, no matter where you are around the country, you have my word. The U.S. House of Representatives will do everything in our power to ensure that you are safe, you can freely practice your faith, and you can go to school, just like everybody else. We will punish those who have allowed this violence and bigotry to go unchecked. With that, I'll take a few questions. We met briefly with the president and her top officials right before we came out on the steps here. We encouraged her to take immediate action and stamp this out. And our feeling is that they have not acted to restore order on the campus. This is dangerous. This is not free.
Now, when they say she, they're not talking SHI, which I find out in the cross is a number in a different language. The local area school brought to my attention. I saw the symbology 1 through 10, which is how I learned about Lou, Liu. My father's name is Lou. and not to confuse with where I met my Italian professor at 21 letter alphabets, who taught me or attempted to teach me Italian as best he could. I have not met with an 18-letter alphabet. I'm in a 26-letter alphabet. It's been since I've been here. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.